What's up guys, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. How is everybody doing? This is your Gasperini press conference reaction. I just finished the Fantacalcio auction. I've been sat down for like 9 hours. We started at 8 a.m. and we finished like, I'm not even kidding, 3 hours ago. 16 of us. I am absolutely shattered, but we don't stop the grind, as always. Interesting press conference, massive game tomorrow. Inter and Juventus are currently drawing. Sick game, sick goals. A draw would be actually good for us. It's early. We don't need to look at other results right now, but a draw would be a good result for us indeed. I think chilled press conference. There hasn't really been a point which stands out from today's press conference. I think it was a press conference which focused a lot on players. How are players doing? How are the injured players recovering? Are these players fit to play 90 minutes? Specific questions on Dovvic, specific questions on Paolo, specific questions on Pellegrini. So I do want to zoom in on what Gasperini said regarding all of these players. Regarding the game, I think the most interesting take from the press conference is the fact that Baroni never beat him. Which is like, I was listening to the press conference 20 minutes ago and I was like, oh, we really didn't want to hear this. Baroni never beat Gasperini at Lecce, at Atalanta, at Torino and at Lazio. 6 games between Baroni and Gasperini, 0 wins for Gasperini. So Gasperini got asked, is there like, why is it so complicated to beat Baroni? And he said that he never really paid attention to this stat and that maybe tomorrow is the day that this taboo is finally broken. But yeah, it's an interesting statistic, of course. It is, because I tend to think, of course, you can't really say that manager knows how to beat that manager, because it depends on the players he has, the teams that he manages. But it's an interesting take. I think, let's go chronologically. First of all, he spoke about Dybala. And the question about Dybala was on his condition. Of course, he didn't go to Argentina, which is big news for us. Neither did Sule, which is great for us. So he actually stayed in Rome for 2 weeks. And we already know that Dybala wasn't fit at the beginning of this season. In the 2 games that we already played, Dybala wasn't 100% fit to play for 90 minutes. So having spent 2 weeks in Rome, having trained 2 weeks in Rome, did Dybala recover fully from his injury and from his fitness, which limited him? Is Dybala ready to play 90 minutes effectively? I think Gasperini said no. Because he tried not to make it so obvious, not to give hints to the opponents, of course. But realistically, I also think Dybala doesn't have 90 minutes. I think to preserve Dybala for the majority of the season, I think, and maybe this is crazy, because if you tell this to Dybala, he won't accept this. You know, Dybala will never accept to be a player at this stage of his career who is a killer sub-in, plays the last 30 minutes and wins you the game. As much as that can be the truth, because that can be a point that you can make. People can argue. I think Dybala right now is at the stage of his career, also seen his injury past and his fitness levels, where it's much more effective for him to not play 90 minutes and play Dybala for the last 30 minutes and win you the game. Because Dybala, in the last 30 minutes, game already started, opponents are weakened because they're tired. Somebody with Dybala's technique is, can win you the game single-handedly. So I agree. The point of saying Dybala needs to realize in his head that he's at the stage where it's much better for him to act as a super sub than a starting player, but it's a point that Dybala will never accept. It's something that Dybala will not accept, because at 32 years of age, how old is Dybala? Dybala is, I always get his age wrong. Dybala is 31. So at 31 years of age, somebody like Dybala will never accept to be a killer sub. He wants to play 90 minutes. Of course he will. Otherwise he was like, well, if I need to be a last 30-minute type of player, then I might as well go to Saudi Arabia. But yeah, I think Dybala starts tomorrow. As I said yesterday in the match preview, I think Dybala starts tomorrow next to Sule. I don't think he has 90 minutes. Also seen what Gasperini said. But yeah, I do think he won't have 90 minutes. Moving on to Pellegrini. Interesting about Pellegrini. Remember, a few weeks ago, Gasperini effectively kind of crucified him. If there is a player that Juventus are losing, indeed, 3-2, what a game, crazy game. Juventus are losing. That's not amazing for us. Anyways, remember what Gasperini said in the first press conference of the season. The club wants to sell Pellegrini, and I am not opposing this. Secondary to the fact that, remember a few weeks prior, Gasperini stripped the armband off Pellegrini, which isn't necessarily a target to him. And I don't think it is. It's not like Gasperini came in when I don't want Pellegrini to be the captain. Let me rephrase and change the captaincy system so that he isn't the captain. I'm not saying that it's necessarily aimed against him, but with this new method, Pellegrini got stripped of the captaincy armband. So I think if there's one player that you'd expect a bit demoralized is Pellegrini. I think in this press conference, he tried to, now that Pellegrini stayed, to kind of play his cards. Pellegrini stayed. I'm contractually obligated to use him. And in order to get the best out of Pellegrini, you need to work on his mental fitness. You need to work on his psyche. You need to work on a psychological level, because Gasperini said it today. Technically, Pellegrini is second only to Dybala in this team. And I think Sule technically is more gifted, but I agree. Pellegrini is definitely top 3, if not top 2, most technical players in our team. I agree. The problem with Pellegrini is this. It's that he's lost this, is that he's demoralized. The fans have attacked him multiple times last season, 2 years ago, this season. So you lost this. Pellegrini lost this. So you need to work on his head. But to get the confidence by going, Gasperini today said, Pellegrini is an incredible professional. And he is technically one of the best players on our team. So if he stays, I can only see positives. And I'm going to try and revitalize him and rejuvenate him the best way possible. And then I think the interesting thing is Dovvic. Because the answer that he gave to Dovvic is the answer of a manager that didn't want to keep him. Correct me if I'm wrong. The way I read Dovbic's answer in this press conference is a manager that wanted to let him go, didn't go, and he's forced to work on him, but he doesn't want him. That is, I'm gonna say why I think this, of course, but it's the classic answer that proves to you that Gasperini wanted to sell Dovvic since day one. So basically, somebody asked him, how is Dovvic doing? Of course, both on a confidence level, because confidence level for Dovvic right now can't be that high. And number 2, how is he adapting to your system? And I think what he said is very interesting, because what he said is, I had a private meeting with Dovvic. Me and Dovvic sat down privately, and I asked him what are the 3 characteristics that you prefer the most? And Dovvic said, playing in the box and playing, through balls, long balls, which puts him on a one-on-one against the goalkeeper. And Gasperini said, he's listed these characteristics to me, and I said, now you have to show me that you can do these things 100%. That is, I'm sorry, but that is the answer of a manager which goes, I don't know what to do with him. I really don't. I don't know how to make him work in this system. That I have genuinely asked him, how can I adapt to you? When it's players that should adapt to Gasperini. You know, one thing is Juric. One thing is Juric, who comes in after having sacked De Rossi after 4 games, after having bought all the players that we bought last season for De Rossi and everything. One thing is Juric, who comes in and needs to adapt to the players, because otherwise it's not going to work out. Because he doesn't have time. We started it very badly last season. Juric came in, the fans don't want you, the fans hate you, the transfer market was all aimed for De Rossi. Juric comes in, and the mistake that he made was that he made the players adapt to him. No, that's what he got wrong. When you're somebody like Juric who comes in such drastic conditions, it's you who need to adapt to players, not the other way around. However, if the cards switch and it's somebody like Gasperini, who you're building a project around, who you're buying players for, who you want him to stay here in the long term and build success with him, then it's the other way around. It's the players which need to adapt to him. And this is what the players are doing, except for Dovvic, which in this context looks like an abandoned doll. So the fact that Gasperini had to go to Dovvic, and this is something that he said publicly, the fact that it's Gasperini who needs to go to Dovvic and asks him, how can I adapt to you? What are your favorite characteristics? How do you want to play? I'm going to try and work on this in order for you to play better and be good for us. This is something that clearly shows you that Dovvic is here not because Gasperini wanted him to stay, because Gasperini didn't want him. But that's interesting. I think to get Dovvic's confidence back, you need a good work. We need Dovvic's confidence back because we cannot fight on 2 fronts, at least until Christmas, when the January transfer window opens, with only Ferguson. We can't. So, hate him or love him, I don't like Dovvic. I've said and came to this conclusion after a long while. I don't like Dovvic. I think he's the opposite of what Gasperini wants in a striker. But we need him. We need him to be present, and we need him to click. For the best of this team, we need him to click. We really, really do. So 3-3. Kefrem Thuram. What a game. Oh my days, what a game. Marcus Thuram scores first. And 5 minutes after, Kefrem Thuram. I want to see the reactions of Lilian Thuram sitting on the stands on that one. But yeah, and then last but not least, just a little fun fact that Gasperini got reminded of in the press conference. If he wins tomorrow, he would be the 4th manager in a very long while to obtain full points out of full points after 3 game weeks. After Spalletti, Garcia, Capello and Mourinho. How does that make you feel? And Gasperini said, you don't look at these results now. What we can do now is win games, work and build a solid ground. And I agree on him. These are all stats which are great. I would love to go top of the table tomorrow. I would love to have 9 points out of 9 after 3 game weeks. But it's things that really, especially somebody like Gasperini, who is such a work ethic maniac, really doesn't give a shit. Gasperini cares about results the 22nd of May when the league ends. Not now. Because he's such a maniac when it comes to the work culture, that he's afraid that all of these little details and all of these little stats and all of this, now we got 4 points out of 4 points, can distract the players. And that's the last thing we need such early into the season. Keep your head down. If we win, the more games we win, absolutely perfect. But it's still September. So, head down and work. Guys, that is my press conference reaction. Not an amazing one, but not a boring one, I guess. 3-3 betting Juventus and Inter. Fiorentina Napoli tonight is another good one. Moiskin is going to score. Mark this. You don't want to know my prediction? Betting tip tonight. Moiskin scores. Napoli doesn't win. Mark my words on that one. Pellegrini would be really good at centre mid as we don't have scoring and assisting deep players. Jar loves Lilian Thuram. We got us one with Ferguson anyways. Yeah, but Ferguson alone is not enough. Squad depth is massive if you want to go far in all competitions. So we need Dovvic to be present, to click. Otherwise, it's over. Right, guys, I'll catch you tomorrow. Big day, match day vlog and match reaction coming your way. Hit the like, subscribe, support Roma Theory. That's all I ask. It's free. And every single like, every single click in the description, you can find a lot of links. Subscribe button, thumbnail button, notification button. Anything you click supports this channel, supports the mechanism and the algorithm. Love you all. I'll catch you tomorrow. Have a good one. And I'll talk to you soon. Simo out.